Good morning. Happy Tuesday, which means time to talk travel. I'm Desiree. I have a website called Stress Free Baby, which is all about trying to live life stress-free. Kind of a joke, because life isn't stress-free. But I do like to offer tips on how to make life less stressful. I personally love the travel niche, so most often write about travel. And love coming to you with these Facebook Lives every single Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, to give you my travel tips. I'm also a television producer, and in that job, quite often I'm assigned stories on travel. And this particular week was looking into something on airline travel and how the airlines are now working to make it healthier, offering tips on, better food, and they've got apps and things like that. Shelly is joining us. Shelly says, Desiree, Mason and I fly to Reno and back. Any tips? Yes, I do. There's a phrase in airline travel that is west is best, east is a beast, which means if you're flying west, it's much easier to acclimate to the jet lag than going the opposite direction. So you're going to have a harder time going there than coming home. It's part of why I love flying to Europe, because I always feel like I can hit the ground running. And let me explain why that is first, because I did a little bit of research on this, because I was like, why is it? Why should it matter which way you're headed? I mean, either way, if you're losing time, you're gaining time. Essentially, they looked it up and they said it's because you're trying to get sleep when your body is actually waking up. So that's part of it. You're being forced into what feels like the middle of the night. So they say try and make sure you land when there's daylight. Because again, your mind is kind of tricked by, well, if it's light out, then I'm supposed to be up. And if you land in the middle of the night, or it's dark out, then your body just wants sleep. I might be the exception to the rule, because I'm just so excited when I land in a new country. It doesn't matter to me if it's day, night, whatever. But I'm also the kind of person who can get by on like 3 hours of sleep. My family might say I'm cranky, and maybe that's not the best, but it is a long weekend. And you know what? Let me go down the list of tips, because some might surprise you, because I've always thought it's better to, get a lot of sleep before you go to kind of rest up, and they say, nope, don't do that. Let me go through the list, and then you tell me, you guys, if you're out there listening and you have other tips, let me know. But essentially the whole why about it is it's our body's circadian rhythms, and it's how we're programmed, and it's how we've always been programmed. It's why people have such a harder time. And when I was a television producer, I used to produce overnights, which meant I went into work at midnight and got off at 8 a.m. and after the morning news. And, everybody else is awake then, blah, blah, blah. And I just discovered that for me, I would have to get by. Again, I went for years on 3 or 4 hours of sleep because I got everything done during the day. I was very fortunate to work in a newsroom that had no windows. So I wasn't seeing that it was nighttime and I should be asleep. Do you know what I mean? But anyways, they said that it's the built-in routines. It's, it's our body's like signals that you're supposed to be asleep now. You're supposed to be awake. So that's part of it. A lot of people ask about how long it takes to recover from jet lag and what they can do to avoid it. It's honestly, there's no hard and fast rule. It's not like, okay, give it 6 hours. It's whatever your body needs. So, you're just going to have to acclimate the best you can. I personally don't even let myself have the downtime to do that. But I've never really been hit. I did a trip last March, where we flew from Atlanta to LA, spent the night, and then from LA to Stockholm, spent the night, Stockholm to Paris. We had a layover in Latvia, and the layovers definitely help because you get your body out and you can get moving. And as we were headed over, the different time zones were hitting. So it was more gradual than just boom, we are in Paris and all of a sudden it's the middle of the night. I also personally love to book flights where you're traveling all night long. Because I'm cheap and I avoid one hotel stay doing it that way, but you can sleep on the plane. They say not to do that necessarily. They say stay awake, but I think that depends on where you're going, because we were landing at 9 a.m. Stockholm time. So to me, I needed to be awake and alert and ready to hit the ground running, because who wants to sleep their whole time in a new country? So that's it, or part of it. So Shelley, hang with me because there are other tips like setting your clock, but you have to set it at a certain time for the local time zone. So keep with me. Studies have found it takes a full day to recover from each time zone you travel through. I say malarkey on that because heck, in the US, we travel through 3 or 4 time zones, and well, 3. Technically, I guess if we start in Nova Scotia, we're one more over, but that's technically not the US. But anyways, the point is, I don't buy into that. I think it's whatever, when you get going. So if you're already really exhausted before you start the trip, it's going to hit you harder. That's my opinion. And they explain, why, flying from New York to Moscow, there's these little pacemaker cells all up in your brain, and they fire away and they get really confused. Our internal clocks get confused when we land and it's daylight. Anyways, there is an app that will help you with this. If you want, it was, I downloaded it this morning, so I haven't tried it yet, but it is called Entrain, Entrain, Ian. And it's a travel app that was developed by the University of Michigan, and I think, I'm going to say Yale University helped with it as well, but it says it's by University of Michigan. Yeah, it is University of Michigan. And it talks about, it tells you when to, how to adjust to, it says here, let me see if I can go this way with it. But it shows you, how to adjust to the light and seeking the light. And see what it says? Adjusting, avoid the light, seek the light. Again, you do you. You do what works for you. But this, it says it's a mobile app that uses your lighting history, activity, and heart rate to recommend schedules of light and dark. These schedules are able to shift the model of the circadian clock to a new time zone as quickly as possible. Users can opt in to share their data with the University of Michigan for research purposes. So they're still researching it. And it says there was one review February 1st of this year. It said, I followed the directions to the letter, although it was difficult on a flight from Australia through New Zealand, ending up in San Francisco. Aside from a few uncomfortable moments, my jet lag was minimal. A good tip is to use a light box to help with the seeking light part of the program, as I returned in the winter and it still gets dark early in San Francisco. Program's greatly improved in simplicity since I tried to use it last. So it could help you. I know I'm flying to Tanzania, over to hike Kilimanjaro in September, and I'm really worried about how the jet lag is going to affect me because then I'm going to hike all the way up the mountain. So I'm a little bit intrigued, but I'm giving myself an extra day before the hike starts. So I thought that was interesting, and it is. It was the University of Michigan and Yale that worked on that app, which is going to try and help you acclimate. But other tips, if you don't want to go with the app and you just want, it's get a good night's sleep before you even fly. That's huge. And that's really hard to do if you're like me. I'm usually still going all the time, getting everything ready for the trip, being gone. What do I have to do? Just getting my life together. Heck, a lot of times I'm still packing at 4 a.m. before a 5 a.m. flight. That's my reality. So, keep that in mind. But if you can get a good night's sleep, they say that the last minute changes to your routine make it much harder to adjust to the new time zones. So getting a good night's sleep is going to make you better equipped to deal with the jet lag, for what it's worth. And they say, a lot of people like to try and stay up so they sleep through the flight, and they say don't do that. So again, I do that. If I'm landing at 9 a.m., I'm absolutely going to be the person trying to sleep. They say avoid arriving at night. If you can, opt for a flight that arrives in daylight. I covered that already. That way, you get to explore when the sun is shining and everything. And again, I'm a morning person, so I'm good with that. But if you're like a night guy, if you're one of those people who does best at night, absolutely. Shelley will be packing the rabbits traveling with us to the show in Reno. They fly hours before us. Oh, wow. I wonder how the rabbits are going to do. Gosh, I don't even know what to think on that, these days. Okay, so I can't give you tips on jet lag for rabbits. Be plane savvy. Pick the right kind of plane. And again, you have a little more control over this when you're flying, to Europe or long distances. But, they have like A350s, 380s, have better humidification systems that help the air and LED. And I will tell you this, the last flight I was on, gosh, I flew to Barcelona and was in one of the Dreamliner planes, and they didn't have shades for the plane, the window shades that slide up and down. it was like a little button you hit that dimmed the window. So it was either bright and clear, or it dimmed it to really dark purple to make it dark out, which was super cool. So they've got little techie things that are already built into planes to help you. If you can get on one of those, great. They said there are now plane systems, I think this is what I was just telling you, LED lighting systems capable of creating 16.7 million shades of color that simulate natural phases of the day. It's so cool. Again, I did a little video of mine because little things like this impress me. It doesn't take much, right? And then, there are like on those bigger planes, they have like air purification systems, which just make the air more pure, and it renews it every 2 minutes, which again kind of helps you from that recycled stale air fuel. Split up the trip. They say, they really recommend stopovers. Hey, Michael, I see you're on too. They really, and I just talked about this, when I did the Paris trip to Stockholm, we had a layover in Latvia. Those stopovers are godsends because you can get up, get out. We only had 5-6 hours in Latvia, but we still checked they had a place at the airport where you could check your luggage, so you didn't have to tow it around town. We hopped on a bus, did a tour of Latvia, got out, cruised, towards some of the churches and some of the cool Latvia sites. I bought some jewelry. In fact, I almost wore my Latvia ring. I probably should have today. But at any rate, just getting out and getting moving helps, and it breaks it up. And again, it was daylight in Latvia once we landed, and we had flown all night. So that was helpful. And then it was a really quick flight over to Paris from there. Other tips, avoiding the bar. Duh. Now, if you're going on a honeymoon flight or trip to Paris, by all means, break out the Prosecco. I say, have a good time all the way there. But also, if you're going on a honeymoon flight, you're okay staying in the hotel a couple hours before you go explore. Me personally, when I'm alone, the last thing I want to do is sit in a hotel room by myself. I want to go meet people. I want to go do things. So do that. Sleeping pills are a no-no. They say absolutely do not rely on sleeping pills. They're just not worth it because they're going to mess up your rhythm even more. You can get oh gosh, this is part of the story I'm doing for my TV segment that kind of got me into this topic. All these airlines are now launching these new menus and special treats and special apps that will help you choose healthier options. Like Emirates has this whole tea line this is super cool that, like anti-stress tea and relaxation tea and different things you can order. And Turkish Airlines is another one that's got some hot stuff. In fact, they've got, what is it called? I wonder if I can find this real quick for you. It's like a oh gosh, I bet I can't find it. It's something they partnered with Dr. Oz. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I bet I can. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, maybe not. Gosh darn it. I hate when I can't find things right on the, here we go. Flying Chefs, Fly Good, Feel Good. That's the campaign that Turkish Airlines has come up with. Fly Good, Feel Good. And it got me, like I said, looking into this whole jet lag topic, but they now have special food, special things. So the airlines are kind of going above and beyond, which is kind of nice, right? Because for so long, it's like the airlines are squeezing us in. Did you guys even see this? Total side topic, because that's what Desiree does. There's an airline now that flies you standing up. No kidding. They have seats that are like, okay, how do I explain it? Jeez, I'm going to show you. Hold on. Let me move. They literally, the seat is like this. That is how far you're sitting, like this. So you're standing, but you're not sitting for the entire flight. You're sort of leaned back in a chair. Crazy, right? But they can fit a whole lot more people on the plane, so they're doing it. And I'll find it and I'll put it in the comments so you guys can see it later. But how crazy is that? Say goodbye to coffee. This is not a problem for me because I don't drink it, but they say that that's just going to increase your jet lag recovery time, which is not good. You don't want to increase that. Setting your watch. This is what I was saying, Shelly. Once you get on the plane, don't set it. Don't change it before you get on the plane because then you're going to end up missing that flight. Nobody wants that excuse like, I'm on Paris time. I already missed it. Get on the flight. Then, yes, Shelly, exactly. It's like leaning against a table. It really is. That's what they've got you doing. And I don't know about you, but I like to sit down for my flight. I don't want to be standing up for an entire flight. So, in fact, I'm the person who loves it. I feel like it's a total score when there's not anybody in the two seats beside me, because then you can stretch out and lay across both seats. Total score. And I am the person who's looking around on the flight like, where can I move to, and usually that's back more in the back of the plane. But I'll even ask the flight attendant, hey, if you see a row where there's like only one person, or no, I'm going to move back that way. And I've had flight attendants be really cool about it and come back to me and say, hey, there's a row back there if you want to go stretch out that nobody's sitting in. Total tip. Keep moving. They say, you know what, get up. And I don't do this well on flights at all because I feel like it's a pain in the butt. Like, I'm a window seat person. I love to have a view. So I hate interrupting the people in the middle or the aisle if they're sitting there. But they say, as far as avoiding jet lag, to yes, do get up, get the blood flowing. And this is also important for in avoiding DVT, the deep vein thrombosis, where you can get a blood clot. So get up, invest in a good pair of flight socks, and just walk the aisle once or twice, especially if it's a long flight. They say, who cares if they look ridiculous? I don't. When I'm on a flight, I'm like, I'm not going to see these people again. I'm not going to walk around barefooted. I am going to put on socks, and mostly because I'm, I get cold, but yuck too, right? Eat right. And they say that, it says a more extreme tip is to start eating 3 meals a day in line with the new time zone, which means cornflakes at 11 o'clock at night, because if that might be the breakfast thing. I don't know about that one. Again, I'm more likely to just play it like, okay, whatever time it's going to be when I land, that's the meal I'm going to be eating. I will live on that time zone all the way through. Some people swear by the other. They say they stick to their home time zone. And I guess maybe if you're going to only be there for a day or two, that would make sense. But I say when in Rome, when in Rome, do as they do. Those really are the big ones. And they do have like precautions to take before you fly, like relax, eat healthy. I mean, all these things are givens to me. And before traveling east, try to get up earlier for a few days. If you're traveling west, go to bed a little later, and sleep a little longer. So keep that in mind. And remember the phrase, west is best and east is a beast. Again, it's because of the time zone. And the best tip on here to me is try to land when there's daylight so that your body still thinks you're supposed to be awake and going. That is the way to go. I think that's about it. If you guys have better tips or other tips, and the other one, I'm totally going to try this app, the Entrain app, and see if it helps. If you have tips, throw them in here. And Shelly, yeah, it is a weird way to fly, but I expect, that's where we're headed. All I could think is, how are you really strapped in if you're standing up? You know what I mean? Like, aren't we supposed to, so what happens when there's turbulence on those flights? I'll put the link for that airline in there, and let's hope that all the other airlines don't jump in and tell us all that we need to be standing for future flights, right? I will be back with more tips next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't already given a like to the page, please do that, because for me to keep doing this, I need to know somebody's watching. All right, have a great Tuesday and a great rest of the week, everybody.